breeze that rippled through the room. UNS, United Nations ship. That designation belonged not to any current empire but to humanity, a name etched in half-remembered histories dismissed as superstition. The Dominion dispatched a fleet, 20 ships, sleek and deadly, armed with weapons that had conquered dozens of civilizations. They moved into the uncharted sector with the casual arrogance of predators certain of their dominance. Their orders were simple: intercept, identify, and erase. The ghost becomes real. In the silence between stars, the Dominion fleet closed in. Their sensors swept the black, piercing nebulae and scanning debris fields. At first they saw nothing, just endless void. Then space itself seemed to shift. A shadow detached from the darkness, vast and deliberate. It wasn't a fleet, not an armada. Just one ship. The Dominion commander scoffed, broadcasting across open channels. So this is the legendary Scourge, one vessel, a relic drifting on fumes. But the scans painted a different picture. The hull was impossibly dense, materials unknown even to Dominion science. Its silhouette was jagged yet purposeful, bristling with weapons arrays that made their most advanced cruisers look like toys. Across its armored flanks, ancient letters glowed faintly. UNS Retribution. A silence fell over the comms. What had been myth was now undeniable. And it was awake. When legends opened fire, the Dominion fleet advanced, confident still in numbers. The commander raised his crest proudly. One ship cannot withstand 20. End this farce. Their weapons flared, filling the void with streaks of plasma, rail slugs, and searing particle fire. The Retribution did not move. It endured. Shields shimmered like a storm, absorbing the fury of their barrage without faltering. Then the human warship answered. The first volley tore through 3 Dominion cruisers before their crews even registered impact. Hulls split apart in silence, blooming into fire as atmosphere escaped into the void. The second volley was worse. Kinetic rounds, impossibly fast, sheared ships in half as if they were made of glass. And then came the beam, a lance of white fire cutting across the fleet like the stroke of a god's blade. 6 more ships vanished into incandescent fragments. The Dominion's confidence shattered. Their fleet scattered, panicked cries filling comms. Retreat, retreat. But there was no escape. The Retribution moved with impossible grace for something so massive, anticipating every maneuver, cornering them, culling them like prey. What they faced was not just a ship, it was a weaponized legend. A single human warship, and it was rewriting the galaxy's understanding of power. The shattered silence of the galaxy. When the Dominion's last surviving vessel limped home, scarred and broken, its crew delivered a report that spread like wildfire across the stars. One ship. One human warship. Enough to annihilate a Dominion fleet in minutes. Enough to prove the myths were true. The galaxy convulsed in disbelief. Academies rewrote their histories overnight. Priests who had dismissed human tales as blasphemy now spoke of them in hushed tones. Empires trembled, wondering if more ships like the Retribution lurked in the void, waiting. The High Council that had once mocked the very idea of humans now met in silence, their arrogance gone. Their eyes betrayed only fear. Because if a single warship could burn through their might so effortlessly, what would happen if humanity's fleet still existed? And then across hidden channels, a transmission pulsed once more. This was only a warning. The galaxy held its breath. And in that breathless silence, a truth spread like wildfire. whispered from system to system, echoing in fear across every world. The myths are real. Humanity has returned. The council chamber of Akrathos Prime rang with laughter. Not the restrained chuckles of diplomats, but full-bodied mirth, echoing across its crystalline arches. A junior envoy had just whispered the word, humans. It was enough to break the solemnity of an entire session. The idea itself was absurd, a long-dead rumor dragged out of dusty archives. Humans. Those primitive monsters from old war stories. The supposed ghost warriors who fought like demons, burned worlds, and then vanished. Fairy tales, scoffed Chancellor Varric of the Veiled Dominion, his tendrils curling with disdain. Humans never existed. They were a cautionary tale, nothing more. Scholars had long dismissed them. Military academies mocked the notion in lectures, reciting fabricated battles of Terrans who once held off armadas with a single vessel. The cadets always roared with laughter, imagining one ship standing against empires. But beneath the laughter was a strange unease. Myths had staying power, and myths never survived this long without reason. Yet arrogance was louder than doubt. The galaxy's powers thrived on certainty, on believing they had mapped every star, cataloged every threat, and buried every forgotten nightmare. And so humans became a punchline. The signal that shouldn't exist. It began quietly. A sensor relay on the galactic rim, one of thousands, captured an anomalous reading. Faint, distorted, and ancient. A drive signature no archive should have contained. At first, the technicians thought it was a glitch, another fragment of decayed data echoing through subspace. But the resonance repeated, structured, rhythmic. It carried the unmistakable cadence of an engine built for war. The overseer frowned and sent the report upstream. The bureaucrats filed it away, the admirals dismissed it. Old junk, phantom noise. But then the signal grew stronger. Relays in 3 different systems confirmed it, triangulating on a vector that led out of the void, straight toward inhabited space. For the first time, whispers moved through the council halls. Some pulled out the archives, replaying forbidden tales, the legends of the Terran warships, black-armored leviathans that fought alone, fought endlessly, and never surrendered. Still the admirals laughed. Perhaps a derelict, said one, some ancient husk drifting in silence. They deployed a patrol flotilla, sleek cruisers bristling with cannons, to intercept. They went with songs of mockery, confident the ghost would vanish under their scans. They never returned. The black shape in the stars. The recording leaked first. A fragment, shaky, recovered from the last patrol's final transmission. It showed nothing at first but static and the cold glare of distant suns. Then the static cleared. A silhouette emerged. A single warship. Its hull was matte black, light devoured by armor older than their empires. No insignia marked it, no signal broadcast its allegiance. But its shape was brutal, functional, mercilessly Terran. A vessel forged not for intimidation but for war absolute. It did not move like their ships, gliding on elegant arcs of iron thrust. It prowled. Each correction of its course was sharp, deliberate, predatory. And then, the patrol's fleet opened fire. Streams of energy bolts struck its armor. Missiles flared against its hull. The void blazed with fury. When the light faded, the warship was still there, unscathed, silent, waiting. What followed was slaughter. The Terran ship answered not with broadside volleys, not with scattered fire. It spoke with a single voice, one cannon, one impossible, terrible weapon that erased ships whole in blinding strokes of light. The patrol flotilla died screaming. The transmission cut. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy fell silent. The War Council trembles. The great empires convened. No laughter now. Generals bent over holographic tables, trying to analyze what they had seen. Scholars scoured the legends again, seeking any clue about Terran tactics. Spy masters whispered of a species that fought not for territory but survival, species who turned extinction itself into a weapon. One phrase appeared again and again in the archives, a phrase too unbelievable to accept until now. One human warship was enough. Enough to hold back fleets, enough to end wars, enough to scar memory itself. The council chamber, once filled with arrogance, now stank of fear. If one ship had survived, how many more lurked beyond the void? If this was merely a scout, what would